So, looks like we're starting now. Good. Well, where to start is with a story. The story is going to be about good testing. Now, I would like you all to look down at your arms. You have a nice, for the ones sitting here at least, I know there's people online, but maybe you can read what it says. It says, I am a good tester. So that's a question. Are you a good tester? How many of you think you're a good tester? One, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four. Each needs she. Go. Go. Okay. We have four. That's good. It's a good start. Everything has to start somewhere. So what I would like to tell you is that I would like you to know that good testing is actually for everyone. And that in fact, if we're not all of us good testers soon, we might be out of business. What do I mean by that is, I want you to imagine a world in which there are no more testers. There are no more programmers. There are no more managers. There are no more marketing or sales. Artificial intelligence is writing code, releasing software, testing it. There are no more office buildings needed because people aren't needed anymore to make software. This future is coming, and it's not going to take long to come. My question today is, if we're just testing software and we're just checking the quality of software, but we're not asking an important question about what software, what technology, things like that, then we're going to have a very interesting challenge. So let me move to the next slide, I hope. Yes, it does. Good. Well, one of the questions we need to ask is your testing helping or hindering humanity? I want to tell a story about Greek story. It's a story about Argus Panoptes. And Argus Panoptes was a god, essentially, who has eyes all around his body, and he could see in every direction at any time. Now, that's a very powerful thing to have. And this was imagined by the Greeks in long around 500-600 BC. Now, in 2022, we have states who have closed circuit cameras in every block. We have satellites. We have imagery everywhere with facial recognition. And we live in a world in which just basically every move you make is in a camera. I'm probably on so many cameras when I walk outside by the Niigata train station down to the 7-Eleven, right? I'm new to the database though, because it's my first time in Japan. Having said this god, Argus Panoptes, had a job. He had to watch a cow. But that cow was actually a woman who had been shape changed. It's a bit complicated. The Greek myths are sometimes complicated. You see, the woman had fallen in love with Zeus, and Zeus had fallen in love with her. But she had to be changed into a cow because Zeus already had a wife. Sorry, it's a dangerous story. The wife of Zeus put Argus in charge of watching the cow because she knew the cow was the mistress of Zeus. So Zeus needed to find a solution. So he took his favorite other god, Hermes, who was the god of thieves, the gods of storytelling, the gods of music as well, a bit with Apollo. And he went to Argos and started telling a long story. And gradually one eye closed, and then he went and he closed more. And gradually another eye closed, and gradually another and another and another. And eventually Argos fell asleep. And when he fell asleep and all of his eyes were closed, he snatched the cow very quick, hid away, and then Zeus could be with his love. Imagine living in a world where everything you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed is data. Probably some companies who do run these databases know more about you than you know about yourself. Okay, that's not so bad if the company is looking out for you. But if the company has some other motives that are not so good, then that's a serious problem. Yeah, I guess that's what the soldier here was. I don't know what was being spoken. But I do know that the world we live in today is rapidly moving towards technologies that are becoming much more powerful. And this is not necessarily bad. I don't want to scare you, but it's not necessarily good either. Because the more data they have on you, the more they can understand what you're going to do, and what you're going to be, and what you're going to think, what you're going to eat, and when you're going to go to bed, and when you're going to boil your tea. And then that could be a little bit dangerous. So now, we testers, in a way, are people who look at a software system, and maybe we only test it according to specifications and requirements. We say, the system must do this, functionality. The system should be so quick, efficient. The system should move onto different operating systems, portability. The system should be easy to upgrade, to do daily builds, maintainability. But we don't always ask, what is this system going to do to the end users? Now, if you're a tester in maybe a bank or an insurance company, and it's not your bank and it's not your insurance company, maybe if you know that the application or the thing is a bit questionable, you think, okay, I'll just test it to make it work. But what if you're testing the high-speed train, Kaizen, the bullet train? Or what if you're testing an airplane that you're going to fly on? Or what if you're testing a medical device that will determine if your wife or mother will correctly be diagnosed for cancer? That's a big responsibility. I've tested systems for 22 years, and I've tested systems that I use. And I do know that there are plenty of defects and problems in those systems. Still, today. The software was released because they wanted to move it quickly to market. That's a decision that's made. And testers are sometimes in the way of that release. Now, I don't know how many of you are testers. Maybe you can let me know. Are you testers, programmers? Are you testing? Is anyone a tester here? Yeah? Everyone? Almost? Almost everyone. That was interesting to see. So, how many of you, as a tester, has been testing a system, you see most of the test scenarios failing, but the release is coming, and they ask you, can we release? And you say, well, you know, it's many defects and many problems, and you say, no. Can we release? and you say, If you say no, then you better have the facts. You better show why. If you say yes, but you know there's defects and problems, maybe you're not a good tester. And I mean good here in the sense of a moral and ethical question. This talk today is classified more as a mental health talk, right? I'm not going to talk about backends today or how to program or some special way of using a software testing tool. I'm going to talk about how you sleep at night. We work 8 hours a day, maybe more, sometimes 9 or 10. We spend most of our life working, not with our wives and children on the weekends. We work long, we work hard. And software is ubiquitous. It is everywhere in our society. Who has the power in this society? Is it the police? Is it the politicians? Is it the media? Is it the doctors? Is it the lawyers? What do they all use? They all use software. All of them. Who runs the software? Who makes the software? We do. Right? So, we are very important people. Our systems are tools allowing all of these people to run governments, to run militaries, to help you, to teach you. It's not all bad. The technology can be very good. I like some technology. I'll show you some. But if the all-seeing eye is watching me all the time, Now, the Greeks believe that god, Argos, all of those eyes, when Hera, the woman who was the wife of Zeus, found that the cow was gone, she was very upset at Argos. She killed him. And his eyes flew into space and ended up in the peacock. That's why a peacock bird has all of those eyes. Okay? So I will go with that theme. And I will introduce an acronym. One is G. One is O. I hope the O shows up in a second. I'm pressing. No, goes back. It was slow. I'll go back. This is a slow machine. I'll even go back again. Let me go back. Here we go. Okay. Well, there we go. It was supposed to animate, but no problem. It's going back. So press it again. There comes the O. Okay. Maybe the battery's low. Aha. Okay, anyway. So a G.O.O.D. G is first an acronym for the first word of gives. O for observe, O for open, D for determine. I want to go through each one. Then you can see if you're a good tester. Okay? When you're testing, you obviously have requirements, user stories, specifications. You're using automated tools, or you're testing manually, you're doing regression testing, you're testing on interfaces, you're testing on devices. The question is, while you're testing, the results of your test, is that only shared with you and your company? Or do you share that also with your end users? Imagine if you went on an airplane and it said, this airplane was last tested a week ago. Now you've seen on elevators, it has to say the elevator was tested on such a date, right? When you get into a car, you own your own car, you probably maintain your car, you know how it's going, you know the system. When you go to a website, you can sometimes see the version version 778, whatever. But in some software and in some devices, you have no idea when it was tested. You don't even know if it was tested. When you go to the store, you buy a milk or you buy something or you buy shoes, it says tested, yeah? It says controlled. And you have more faith in that product. But testing, it's not always so transparent, okay? So what I'm saying in good testing is you shouldn't just share your test results in your company, you should share it with all stakeholders. Are the end users a stakeholder? Yes, I think they are. The second is O. Observing the quality of the system, not only in terms of verification and validation, testing it, and defects, but in terms of the impact of the system at society at large. What do I mean? Well, you can test the system and think, this gentleman, this gentleman, this gentleman, this woman. But I can think, I want to test the system usable by Japan. Or I want to test the system usable by Europe. Or I want to test the system usable by everyone on the planet. No? Do you know of applications that are used by everyone on the planet? Everyone. Certainly you do. There's many. I don't want to even name them. Internet browsers, etc. Yes, there are some people today who don't have computers, right? They don't have smartphones. They don't. So maybe they're not, I'm not concerned about them right now. I'm concerned about people in our modern societies where from the beginning to the end of the day, we're on cameras everywhere. We use our without my smartphone, I couldn't come to Japan. Simply couldn't. I have to have a SOS application. I have to show, I have to use things. I could not come without a device. It's okay. I'm not saying it's all bad, but just listen to me and the story will start to come clear. I have an hour with you. You will understand. And then you will be able to say, you're a good tester. So far, you have 1 G. Ask yourself, are you giving your results of your tests to everyone? Or do you just keep it in? If there's a defect in the system, do your end users know? Normally not. They'll find it though. They will find it. So do you have a system back where they can come back and it can be fixed quick? It's difficult. Are you observing the system, not only in terms of testing it and verifying it and making it work, as I said, but also in terms of how will this impact the whole world? I'll give you one example there. I'll mention a company, okay? I'll do it indirectly. There was a company who in their algorithms knew that girls who watched certain imagery on this would feel not happy. I think you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it's okay. Someone who worked at the company, whistleblower they call them a whistleblower, said, we shouldn't use these algorithms. It's bad for girls. It gives them a bad feeling. They feel bad watching these things. It was about looking good, always being thin. And so many girls were, you know, not eating right. And some of them, I think, even got very sick, if not died. So the question for this company was, do you know your algorithms are causing this problem? It's a good question. It's a good question. Some algorithms are biased. Some algorithms are racist. Some algorithms are geared to get you and manipulate you to buy. That's normal, right? That's sales. But maybe they're wanting you to buy something that's not good for you. Or they're targeting young children for very sweet food, or you see what I mean? Okay, now, what's the difference between this and just saying, why don't we make good products? Why don't we make good sake or good beer? What's the difference? Well, good software. It should be good for you. Like good food is good for you. You know? Yeah? There's no marker on software. A, B, C, D. Calories make you big. We know on some computer games they say this is violent. Okay. But on your software, like your browser, what if it said this browser will direct you to places we want you to go? What if the airplane pilot was honest and said, when emergencies go wrong, some of my systems don't work completely well, so they rely on me. Now, we didn't have IT like this 30, 40 years ago, huh? Even 40 or 50 or 60 years ago, we didn't have hardly IT at all. That's how old I am. I'm 55. So I remember that when I went to school, I didn't have smartphones, I didn't have phones, everything was paper, but we managed to control things back then, huh? Interesting. Well, the third, O, it is the last one, is an interesting metaphor. Opening the doors to ask questions about the intended use of the system in relation to the broad set of end users. It's a lot of words. Wait for Seth. The questions you need to ask. We'll go through them. What are some questions you ask when you test? When you just test, I'll say, is how will I devise test cases? Will I use automated or non-automated? Will I do an agile way of working? Will I use CI/CD? Will I do test-driven development? Will I decide to do regression tests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? What I want you to add to that question is, will we do a series of tests, or will we ask questions about the impact of the system on our people? And what do I mean by the impact? It can be their physical health, it can be their mental health, okay? How do the systems impact our end users? Sounds maybe the same, but it's slightly different. And then with that in mind, you should determine some test scenarios to actually measure the quality of those systems, not only in terms of performance or functionality, but actually in terms of, is this system good or not good? Now, I agree the term good is relative, okay? One man's good is another man's bad, okay? So how can we have a measurement of this? We can all agree a system is fast, or a system is performant, or a system looks good. Yeah? Then why can't we agree, everyone, if a system is good? Good for you, good for me. Good for someone in India, good for someone in Africa. Good for someone in the United States, good for someone in China. If you know what I mean. So, if testers are testing with all of these letters, if you can be honest with yourself, and you can say you're doing maybe one of those, and that's great. If you can do one, that's good. I saw some hands go up earlier. We had 4 good testers. Maybe you can only do 2 of these. You're clear to your stakeholders, and you ask questions about the ethical and moral use of your systems. Then you have 2 letters. If you can do all 4 letters, then you're like a master, right? You're a master good tester. Because I'll tell you why. Most of you cannot be good testers. You want to be good testers. You can be good testers, but in many companies, you're not allowed to be good testers. Let's be honest. It's like I'm telling you a dream, an ideal, like I'm an idealist, right? Wrong. I've tested for 22 years. In my first years of testing, I was a junior tester. I was told to test X, Y, Z. I tested X, Y, Z. I didn't ask questions. Then I moved up to test coordinator, and I started to coordinate other testers. And then I had to give ideas on how to coordinate my team. Then I moved up to being a test manager, working in big projects with international impact, with different coordinators. And I moved my way up to changing complete companies in transformation, towards agile. And I saw digital transformation. And I saw ubiquitous use of software. I told you 2 years ago, you'd be wearing masks and you would have to wash your hands and you would have to go around here. And if I told you there was going to be a war in Ukraine, using new technologies that we see, you would say, Daniel, you're crazy, relax. 2 years. How much data has been collected in people all over the world in the last 2 years? All of us had to put in all of our data. We had to get injected 3 times. We had to do things like this all over the world. If they can do that, then we can become good testers all over the world. I'm sure. Let me go further. I don't want to get too intense. Let's go to the next slide. I hope it goes. Let's see. I could be pressing the wrong button. I don't think so. Voila. Okay. So now, wait a minute. Now that I just showed you that, how many of you think you are good testers? Not even one now. How many of you, be honest, how many of you want to be good testers? Oh, okay, now we're talking. You see the brotherhood of testers, the sisterhood of testers? You see, we all feel this pain, don't we? We all have felt the pain of releasing systems and thinking, my gosh, I hope it works. I really hope it works. I really hope it works. Because my wife and child will use that system. I will use that system. You know, it's a joke with my friends. Where I live, I go up and I put a card in an ATM and I say, oh yeah, I tested that. I know, here's a defect. Watch, clack, 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 and I can break it. And I go to a cafe and I see a woman using a point of sale system. She cannot ring up my thing and I say, oh, I will show you. Click. See, I'm on the back end of the systems. I know where they work and where they don't work. And I know why. Here's an interesting system in airplanes now. This is my trip from Helsinki to Tokyo. You can see it was a very big airplane. Okay, thank you, Seth. Anyway, my first joke of the day, because I know it's intense, huh? Oh, by the way, I need help from Jupai-san. I need to know when I have about 10, 20 minutes, because 10 minutes is a long time listening to me. Hi. Okay, so this is Helsinki. Now, let me ask you something. Wouldn't you normally fly this way to Japan? Yeah. Why did we have to fly down through Romania, down through Afghanistan, here to Mongolia, over? Why? Anyone know why? Yeah, 2 hands, both are fine. You can say it in Japanese, we have a translator. Why? Sorry. War, he says war. It's true. What's one reason? What's the other reason? It's true. It was a Finnish airline. Okay, from Helsinki. Huh? So it's true. War was one reason that they go. But why didn't they go up here then? That doesn't answer the question. Because they could go here too. No? Why did they go down? Why did they go down? Just curious. Any idea? Any idea why? Okay, I'll tell you. Sorry. There are sensors and satellites all over the Earth now. We can tell the temperature, the winds, and we can see where the Gulf Stream is moving the quickest. Calculations are made very before the flight. There's decisions on where to use the fuel, where the pilot will fly. And they found that this was the most advantageous way with the winds and the weather and different data. They got lots of data, right? This is the kind of data we didn't have 30, 40 years ago. We didn't even have it 10 years ago, okay? And this is maybe a good use of technology, right? You're an airline company and you want to know, is it cheaper to fly this way for fuel or is it cheaper to fly this way? Safer. Of course, we all know it's cheaper to fly this way, but that's war. But when you're confronted with this, you have to know this way or this way. You use data. That's a lot of powerful computers churning that data every day. Okay? Testers tested it. And this is just a nice little graphical user interface in your plane. Yeah, you can see that. That's also great, useful technology, yeah? Nice. What if that same technology is used for something bad? Right? So that's a question I ask you. You know, is technology good or bad? You know, is there neutral technology? Is there any technology that's neutral? Certainly we would say a gun is maybe bad, right? But maybe it can be used for something good. I don't know. A knife in the kitchen, good or bad? I don't know. A telephone, a smartphone, good or bad? I don't know. It depends, right? So software is technology. It's ones and zeros, moving very fast. That's all it is, right? Running different operating systems, changing and making all devices now, speaking, that can talk, IoT, the microphone, everything. We're becoming like cyborgs, humans, right? Extension. I see people watching me. That's nice of you. Thank you for being here. Many people online. And there's some people looking at it. There's, you know, it's normal. It's normal. We rely on that software, right? And it influences us every day. It changes us. It makes us who we are. Some people even say like, oh, what operating? I have Apple. Oh, I have this. Sometimes it's even like a status. Well, when you fly now, everything's controlled. It's good, bad. I'll come back to this in a second. This is the inside of my plane when I flew up. Every person on the plane has their own little IT system, their own laptop. Again, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, this was not. Each person is watching their own movie, using their own language. One person is playing a game. Everyone was asleep, so anything. But it's really interesting to see, because you're on the plane, you can see who is Japanese. Okay, he's Finnish, he must be American, this is interesting. Lots of data, you can see the backs of the data. What if I told you that if these were your computers and your televisions at home, governments and everyone else can see what you do? They know what you like. They know what's popular. They know what advertisement you're looking at, when you turn off, when you turn on. They could even have data right now with cameras and see if you're looking at me, if you're liking and enjoying this. Right? Oh, it's difficult with masks. Maybe. I'm smiling now, maybe. I don't know. The point is, the testers who test systems, who's testing the testers who test the systems? Right? Who's testing the testers that test the systems who test the systems? Good job. So this is a lot of interesting data that the airline now has about their people. 10, 15 years ago, they didn't know. But here they can sell products. Here they can find out, oh, this is someone who sold perfume for this. Maybe he's, okay, so now Daniel, he likes the Batman film, and he did not buy anything, and he had 2 tomato juices, And okay, you know, it gets extreme. Huh? It's a lot. They know more about me than I know about myself. You understand? Okay, so the testers who tested this system, they only tested it to make sure it was on, it gathered the data, and it did what it did. But did they ask, is it good that we have so much data of Daniel? Where's the data going? Now, I will tell you that the Japanese government was very clear. When I arrived, I had to put my seat number. Huh? Because if this gentleman was sick, and I was here, they would call me and say, okay, you have to, okay, maybe that's good technology. No, I understand. But what if they said, Daniel was talking about good testing, going to the Niigata festival, and he had a controversial attitude and a different philosophy. We don't like Daniel-san. Then that would be very easy to have me taken out, right? And you know there are some countries with governments like this. You know it, right? Okay, interesting, huh? I hope you're not bored. I hope you're not. So I go back. You know, this is funny because I keep pressing this, and you get to go ahead and it's all my fault, human error. So I also noticed that in my flight trajectory, we got to fly directly over Shanghai, or no, sorry, Beijing. Then we flew right up to South Korea, right next to our good friends in North Korea. And then we made our way to Japan in the big airplane. I guess that's supposed to be a missile. I don't know what that is. Just joking. So the question, of course, is what kind of IT systems are guiding my navigation systems there? Huh? Imagine errors in that. Imagine the people on the ground in North Korea seeing the plane, and they have a problem with their IT system now, and they think the plane is coming too close. Before, we just looked. Now we have satellites, we have this in the IT system. If the IT system is working that day, everything's fine. Daniel-san makes it. But Junpai-san didn't know if I was going to make it safe. He was probably very happy if he saw me at the train station. I don't know. I was happy to see him. Because Finland had just signed into NATO on Monday, and I wasn't sure because those countries said, we don't like that. So we had to fly all the way around. Interesting times we live in, no? Very interesting times. And we see how software has a major influence in this. Software has a major influence in how we vote. Software has an influence in what we eat. Software has an influence in what we wear. So we better be testing good. I inspire you to test good. So this was the first part of Japan I saw, the ground at the airport. You know what? I was surprised because these are real men. And I thought I would see robots coming up to unload the airplane. Because Japan is big on robotics. You have a population that is older, yeah, which is why they're extra cautious about COVID, I understand. You have a population that uses robotics and automation. So Japan, your country, I'm enjoying very much in being in, by the way, is a highly technologically advanced, automated society. It's one of the ways that you differentiated from your people, right? You had good boats, you had good weaponry, you had good, it's important. That mentality is good. You needed to protect yourselves. You needed to be aware. You needed to see things. You needed to travel. You needed to have trade. You needed to make your sake, right? So technology can be good. But again, as we move on, I had to buy tickets to make it from Tokyo to Niigata. And I thought, what is this? It's paper. Why is it paper? And then a man came and he stamped this when I got on. He goes, I'm like, what is this? First, it's high technology. I want to see robots, and then it's paper. Then I went a bit further, and it was my first Japanese toilet. You know, all my friends said, oh, Japanese toilets are incredible. I said, well, look at this. There's software in here. This is my SOS app I had to use, right? But I didn't know how much software there is in everything. Of course, I was thinking about my talk. I thought, did someone test this toilet? I don't know. Maybe. But what if I told you, and maybe it's absurd, what if I told you that the toilets in the future will get data on you as well? Won't know what you ate, won't know what you drank, but you understand what I mean. Everything will be gathering data, and so it should be tested good. Money and financial transactions, Bitcoin, yeah, the blockchain, anonymity. It was created by someone who has kind of a Japanese name, I think, actually. But anyway, the point is, this is someone who's thinking in terms of good software, right? Don't confuse the two. I'm not talking about developing good software. I'm talking about good testing. So it means you can take bad software and you can do good testing and say, no good. Yeah? You have the power to do this. It takes courage, but you can do good testing. This is my hotel room. Lots of technology in this city, Niigata. I'm working on a project currently where I'm testing smart water meters, intelligent gas meters, and intelligent electric meters working together. Gas, electric, and water. They talk to each other, and they will talk back to the government of Belgium. Because we need to know how we're using our water, how we're using our gas, especially because we need to think about Russia. And then we need to know how we're using our water as well, because water is very scarce. It's a dry time in Belgium. With the data now and testing the systems, I realized while I was testing, I don't know your name. Let's say your name is Ken. I'm gonna give you a name, Ken, or your name is Casey. I can see when you come home, when you turn on electricity and you pull on some water, and I can know he's making tea. Then I can say, he's using some gas and water. He's taking a shower. And then I can see when you're on holiday, when you go away. So one of the big tests that I'm doing on these meters, can anyone take a guess what it is? Because I'm a good tester. Huh? Anybody have an idea of what scenario I decided? No? I'll tell you. Security testing. Yeah. What if the criminals could just drive by your house and get data all the time? Or what if they hacked into the systems? They would know when people are gone, when they're home. They would know when people is on holiday. That would be dangerous, wouldn't it? Yeah, it would be. So I not only did functional testing and performance testing, I insisted there be security testing, and we found a problem. Yeah, but now the problem is gone. I'm happy. Okay? So that's good testing. That's an example. This city has lots of gas meters and electric meters. You know, some hackers can turn off your red lights or change your lights off and on or turn your chain system. Yeah? Be careful with security testing. Okay? Make sure you're on the good side. Then I went out to dinner with some wonderful friends. I suddenly felt at home at Niigata. But I noticed that while they were eating, they pushed a little button on the table, lots of IT, cameras, everything. I thought, okay, I hope those systems are tested well for privacy. Because then I know what we eat and when we eat. Okay, it's okay. But it could be bad. Then we went to do a purchase. And I had a funny example where I went to 7-Eleven. I have a bad habit. I smoke cigarettes, excuse me. And I put the money in the machine, and then the man gave me the stick, and I just walked out. Because I forgot that I have to get my change. Because I don't think like this because I use my electric card. And luckily, I said, oh, you go back, go back. So it's very funny because I'm an end user. People who made that machine didn't think. It doesn't go beep, 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 or it doesn't, it doesn't say to take the money. It doesn't stop. It doesn't light up. I did have to press the button on something like I'm old enough to smoke. That I did. So interestingly enough, do you see anyone here that he's buying from? I don't know if the light is good. Do you see anyone? There is someone here. There's someone here. There's a person here taking the money. But you know, in many stores in Belgium where I go like this now, there's no one here. There's no one. No one. It's all IT. You just go up, or you use a card. Beep. You can shop now in stores. Remember? I was always confused. When I was a boy, I had to go in a store, I had to pick something, I had to bring it, I had to, beep, and I paid the person. Many stores throughout the world now, you just do yourself. That also is interesting because those data machines are getting more data. Are they tested for performance? Yes. Are they tested for security? I don't know. I don't think so. And then in this conference now, I see a lot of technology too. You know, cameras, things around this building. Seems good. I think most of it's tested. Was it good tested? I think so. I think the Nino is a great place. The Niigata Innovative Center. That's good use of technology, sharing ideas with people, people talking about ideas. That's a cool way to use technology, no? But how could it be used bad? Think about it. Think of a scenario where these kind of conference could be bad. Something could be bad. These cameras could be sharing wrong information. Or, I don't know. Think about it. Always ask the question, is the software I'm making going to be good for the end user? Good? Am I open to all of my stakeholders with my results? Do I decide and determine scenarios that go out of the box and don't just test it about functionality and performance, but tries to think, what could go wrong for society with this system? It's a big responsibility, I know. And maybe it still sounds idealistic to you, but again, that's the purpose of my keynote today, to kick off this Niigata Scrum Festival, to tell you that just like the manifesto of Agile was created in 2001, and they said, we are making software and we are helping others to make it. And they had 4 simple things. I'm giving you 4 simple things too to make the manifesto of good testing in Niigata 2022. And I hope that the 4 good testers can grow. Just think about it. Help me, please. Because I'm 22 years testing and I want to sleep good at night. And I want Junpai-san to use a safe system. This is the eye. It's your eye. This is you. This is a tester. Yeah? I just want you to ask, are you testing good? Or are you just testing? Yeah, I can tell you that for many years, I was just testing. But now, I'm starting to test good. Why? Because the technology is becoming more and more powerful. And I realize my responsibility to the rest of my humanity. Okay. It doesn't have to be so intense, it can be fun, huh? You can do fun, good testing. I'm smiling, huh? I don't want to scare you. But I do want you to get you to think. I do want you to be inspired. And I do want you to consider these things. And really ask yourself when you go back, how you're testing. Okay? You'll sleep better. And if you're not a good tester, it's okay. Maybe you can get one of the letters. Okay? How much time do I got? 5. 30, good. But that's without question, right? with. Oh, so I need to stop now. All right, I'll round up. So what I want you to do is think another way about good testing. I want you to have a target, you know? If the G.O.O.D. doesn't work for you, then I want you to think of a dartboard. Yeah? If you can hit the outside, where you're seeking explanations from your developers and your people about the software and the technology, that's good. If you are not afraid of the technology, because I know some testers are kept just upstream in user acceptance testing or in end-to-end testing. But if you can start to shift left in your Scrum or in your weekly Scrum or in your waterfall project, whatever you're doing, you know, if you can start to get into the technology as much as the developers, as much as anyone, then you will be a better good tester because you can see what the systems are doing. Okay. Hey, now if you know your craft, meaning you're good at testing, then that's good too. Because if you're going to be a good tester, you have to be a fast tester. Because you still have to satisfy your software getting to market. I understand. Otherwise, you don't have a job. But at least you'll be able to run more tests, more ethical tests, more good tests. Maybe you can reach eventually the center goal where you're not intimidated by your marketing or your release teams, and you can actually protect your end users. You can see yourself not just as a tester, but a good tester who protects your end users. You're like like I said yesterday, you're like a Ultraman or Ultra woman. You know? You have the right to say, this toilet is dangerous. No. Or you have the right to say, you know, if I worked in a sake factory, and I asked Jumpai, is sake in wood? Is it in glass? And does bacteria get into sake? How did the old Japanese make sake? Who was the first Japanese to make sake? Maybe it was an accident. Huh? The point is, it's controlled now. It's clean. You're going to enjoy sake soon. It was probably tested. Yeah? It was probably very controlled by health. That's because, don't you think the software that controls our minds and the way we think should be tested as good as the sake we drink? I think so. Quiet in the hall, nice. So, I think I'm just about done here with this. Assuming I can get this, there's like a slowness in this in Champai. Okay. So, let's rewind. Argos had a job to do. He had to protect the cow. He was just a machine, like all of the closed circuit cameras. It's just a neutral technology. But he was being used for a political and an emotional reason. When you're testing your systems, make sure how they're being used, who is using them, etc. Secondly, I agree, some technology is great. So, you can be a good tester and you can promote good software. You know? And then imagine like software, every software would have like a label, really good, 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 whatever, good for humanity. And then more people would use that software, and then the other bad software, even though it worked, it was tested perfectly, and yeah, no one would use it because they would say, oh, these guys are good. This is good for us. That's why, like even with browsers, you know, some browsers I think are more good than others. Well, that's the acronym, G.O.O.D., where I had such a problem. Those are the things you need to think about, remember? Nice and small. It's not important. You can make the Japanese equivalent, huh, for me. And then that's you, a good tester. Are you? I hope so. And then this is you protecting. That's the armor, you see? That's you protecting your end users. When you see that the software is working, it's performant, it matches the requirements, it's very good in that sense, but it's bad for girls, bad for certain people, bad for society. Yeah? The application is not good. You can say fail. Test, fail. No good. Tester, should we release the software? I'm a good tester. I'm an agile tester, I'm a DevOps tester, but I'm also a good tester. No, it passes functionally, it passes performantly. We found some problems in the algorithms and we think that this could be dangerous. Can you please correct it? Oh, you saw Daniel Maslyn in Niigata. Very dangerous. Anyway, these are some advantages. That's good. You will embrace new tools. You will maintain your integrity. You will defend against surveillance states. You will help us to test everything, including the metaverse. You will alleviate transnational misuse of authority if you're a good tester. But I'll just say this one. You will sleep well. So, to end it, a funny story maybe. I went to a hotel in Niigata. I won't mention the name. And in Belgium, when we go to a smoking area, we go specifically to talk with our colleagues and to share ideas. And usually outside of a conference like this, the smoking area is just outside the door. And sometimes I learn more at the smoking area than I learn here, but anyway. I want you to know that this was the rule at one smoking area in Niigata. I understand. It's COVID. I understand. But I would like it to go like this. Instead of refrain from talking, I want you to talk about good testing. Okay, so I want you, if it works, I hope so. If not, again. I want you to say, are you a good tester? And you should say, yes, I hope so. And then I want this person to say, hey guys, I'm a good tester. You're a good tester. We're a good tester. Let's all be good testers. That's what I want. Maybe I'm a dreamer. Maybe I'm too idealist. Yeah, you can press this if you want. But it's my last slide. I'll leave it with that. Oh, I see. Here. You can show this. Yeah, battery low. It's okay. No problem. Hi, arigato. So you see, I want you to say this. And thank you. I hope it makes sense because it was translated by a Japanese guy named Junpei-san. I hope this is Junpei-san. Maybe this is Daniel-san. Maybe this is Mito-san. Maybe this is JK-san, Suzuki-san. Maybe we start. Hi, JK. I hope so. It's been such a pleasure to be with you guys so far in Niigata. The conference is just starting. It's exciting. I want you to feel that energy. I want you to feel your power as testers. You are not weak. You're very powerful. You have the right to protect society. If the developers aren't doing it, if the managers aren't doing it, then let the testers do it. Because you know that if the system does go bad, they're going to not say who developed it, We're going to say who tested it. Right? Right? What's the quality? Anyway, make sure you say yes. Please. Thank you very much.
Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Seth, for
質問ある
translating
人
as well.
質問ある人はマイクを運びます。あ、はい、キョンさん、ありがとうございます。いつオンです。
日本語で失礼します。ありがとうございました。
Hey, Kyok.
No
problem.
そうです。今日の講演聞いていて、そのサイバーの問題とかも、
聞こえてるんですよね。
まさにこう、ジョージ・ウォーウェルの1984の世界ビッグブラザーが来るんじゃないかって思うようなことを思っていました。で、そこに対してそのテスターがより、プロフェッショナリズムをこう高めていくというところで、先ほどダニエルさんはインテグリティという言葉を使われていたんですけども、やはりこう、プロフェッショナルエシックスを高めていくっていうところが非常に重要なのかなと思っています。で、プロフェッショナルエシックスのトレーニングっていうのは、まだこう、未熟だと思っていまして、で、それは日本においてですね。で、例えばその、ダニエルさんは、例えばインテグリティとか、プロフェッショナルエシックスのトレーニングとか、あとはテスターにこう、グッドなテスターになるために、エシックスとか、そのインテグリティをどうやってトレーニングしていってるっていうところが一つ聞きたいのと、あとはやはりその、先ほどもう一つ聞きたかったんですけど、例えば、プロダクトオーナーとかビジネスオーナーっていうのが判断しないのであれば、テスターはノーと言うべきだと。エシックスを高く持てと言ったことがあったと思うんですけど、そこをどうやって巻き込むとか、彼らに説得していくのかっていう工夫を少し聞いてみたいと思いました。
Thank you for this question. Okay, let me break it down. You are 100% correct. This and what I'm talking about is probably considered either absurd by some people listening right now, or really, really important right now. There's no in between. You're either a good tester or you're not. Now, it's hard. I'm 22 years testing. If I was a junior tester with low status, and I was only one, but I went to the cafeteria and had lunch with the designer, and he said also, the software is bad. It works, but it's taking advantage of old people, let's say, retiring, like an insurance application to make money off them. Or a car rental insurance company or something. And we all not going home at night. How do I do it? First, I talk. I open my mouth. I don't keep it inside. So I say, you know, what's your name? Kyok? Kyok, I say, you're the developer. I say, Kyok, that application, man, it's good. It's really written, good Java, good Ruby, whatever. But I noticed it's really got some weird stuff in that algorithm, you know? Like, you know, it seems strange. What do you think? And then Kyok might say, yeah, you know, also. Then I would go back the chain. Who was the analyst? Who was the business person who wrote the story? What is the business rule? Because we're just, other than that, we're developers and testers like guys in a factory. And I told you in the beginning of the talk, we're not going to be needed soon. Soon, AI will write software, AI will test it. There won't even be humans anymore to ask the question, what is good? So we're in a good time still, in 2022. How do I do it? I'm so lucky I get to talk to you in this conference. That's number 2. I dare to talk about it. Number 3, I go to conferences, I go to training areas when I train, and when there's new testers coming into the company, I challenge them. Because I work in something. I'm here representing myself today, but I do work in different companies and projects, and I take the time to actually ask questions. You know, and some people maybe say, we don't want him now on the project. And I say, that's good with me, because I don't want to be responsible for your software. If my paycheck is more important than my heart and my mind, that's no good. I don't know if I answered your question, Kyok. Did I give you sort of an answer? Arigato. Thank you for the question. Please, RSG, Shanghai. Shanghai, whoa, beautiful city.
Okay, so I have a question about how you keep good at it. Since considering all the situation deeply all the time is very high in cognitive load, and actually it's very slow. So we like to consider which is good or bad in application context, but at a certain time, we need to find a good guideline or a kind of criteria to make the decision faster. So we are in a business world where speed is always appreciated. So we are so inclined to find a good criteria and actually other to rely on it.
You see how bad technology is? He's standing 1 meter away from me and I can't hear him because there's a technology feeding the voice. I feel like taking.
I was away. I need to listen to you.
Okay, I think I understood your question. And thank you for that question, Kira. So I will try to answer it and tell me if I got it right. Okay? Because if not, then we ask again. I think what Kira was saying, in case you didn't hear it, is he's like, it sounds good what you're saying, Daniel, but we need to measure this. We need to have criteria. Yeah? Okay. You know, if you look at the Agile Manifesto, it started with 4 principles first. And then a group of people got together and said, let's come up with the 12 more detailed things. Then that got broken down into Scrum and DSDM and everything. And that got broken down into Safe Agile and the rest. But in fact, it all goes back to the first 4 principles, right? Of Agile, right? Working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negation. Don't try to translate it, Sven. And the rest. Very good. Everyone knows the Agile Manifesto. If I asked you, how many of you are really Agile testers? Not all of you could raise your hand either. If it said, I'm an Agile tester, maybe some, maybe not. So I realize, Kira, good testing has to start now. Maybe it will go nowhere, it will die. Because we need to all get together as good testers and say, what are our criteria? But I don't underestimate my testing brothers and sisters around the world who can come up with good criteria. Maybe I can throw the question back to you. I'll give you one criteria and then let's ask other people. Okay? Can I do that? Can I do that with you? Hi? No? Okay, I will give you one. Here's one criteria. Will the software work to the disadvantage of a certain race? Chinese, Japanese, American, German, French. I don't know. If the software favors some people, doesn't, not good. I bet you international companies, no names, who make automobiles, have to think how it works in every country, yeah? Localization. What if you found that a car wasn't liked in one? You would change the car, right? To be more attractive in one. Well, I'm not saying you need to have one criteria that works everywhere, but you need to match the good of that place. And that can change. It's a good question. But maybe you guys can think of other criteria. One criteria I said was, what if the software only favors some cultures and keeps other cultures down? Right? That could be a criteria. It's a broad criteria. Maybe I could say, there's maybe different dialects in Japan, different ways of talking in Japan. Let's say the translating tool only worked with standard Japanese and not with dialect. Is that good? Won't it make everyone talk the same way? Is it? I don't know. But it's an interesting criteria. You see what I mean? Specialization. I hope it answers your question. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, so your discussion is very good, so it's convincing for me. So, I'm a Scrum trainer. And
Nice.
then other things, so what's the right way in Scrum? Then I'd like to answer, I don't know. It's up to you. But the situation always the same. There's a one criteria, and then keep discussing in a good part.
No, that's true. You can run a daily Scrum many ways. But I saw a daily Scrum being run here. But generally, we agree that you should at least communicate face to face. And you should ask some questions how things are going. You don't need to say, what did I do today? What would I do tomorrow? You know, are there any blocks? But I think with good testing, if we open this idea and we start to define criteria with our community, we can. If what you're saying is you wanted to see more of that, then just understand the purpose of my keynote is to inspire you to be the first generation of good testers. The young testers too, the old ones like me, the veterans. We know what it's like to be in situations where there's pressure to release. And we know it's not good for some people. It's very hard. Very hard. Hi, arigato.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Keep discussion. Well,
Very good. Thank you.
I think one more question. Just final one more question.
Okay. Please, this gentleman here. Hey. Oh, okay, cool. Come on up. Nice to meet you. Oh, you can use my mic.
Maybe I should use
Okay,
this mic.
okay. I come over to you.
日本語で。
日本語で。
何を言おうとしたのかな。例えば人種差別とか、まあ、いろんな社会問題に対して関心を持つのはとてもいいと思うんですけど、それでも僕らは例えばビジネスをやらなければいけない。で、不具合を直さなきゃいけない。その中で優先順位を持って開発すると思うんですけど、必ずしも優先順位が上がらないケースがある。その時にグッドテスターはめちゃくちゃイライラしませんか？そういう時はどうすればいい？
Okay. I got the translation. Good. You can sit, you can stand, how you want. Okay, whatever you relax. I take two parts from your question. One was a very good one I expected to hear today. Hey, there's a confrontation between what you're saying and business, getting to make money. We're here to make money. That's the problem. When money becomes more important than my end user is the one who's giving me money, and I have no trust and no relationship with my end user, I'm exploiting them, and I know I'm exploiting them. Maybe it's the same like a pickpocket or something, you know? You know? If you grew up in it, if all you knew was bad software, and you never knew about good software testing, or you never knew about testing or agile, you might think, This is the way it is. My job is just to get the software to market. I'm just a part of a machine. So you won't feel bad. And if the software, I don't use it, they use it. No problem. That's the same mentality that got us in problems with the world climate situation. One country has lots of pollution, it goes over. You see, you need to see the interconnectedness of software. It's everywhere, my friend. It's in my watch. It's in my toys of my children. It's in my toilet. It's in my kitchen. It's in everywhere. So, you're right. These products need to be sold. We need to keep those refrigerators and things selling. That's the conflict. I know. I don't have an easy answer. I do know that it's better as a tester to try to ask these questions while you're testing than to not ask them at all. I encountered lots of friction myself. I won't mention the exact, but let's say I was working on a bank application. And I knew that it was taking too much percentages off people over time. Very hidden, sneaky little calculations, you see? It was hard for me. I quit the project. It's one way. Imagine if everyone just stopped working on those kind of software and those projects, and we started going to the good places. Maybe that's one answer. Thank you for this question. I hope I answered. Hi. Arigato. Okay.
はい。
Thank you so much.
It's finished.
Listen, we finish, and I just want to say how wonderful it is to be at this Scrum Festival. So honored, and I really, really look forward to talking with you guys in the next coming days. So, arigato domo arigato. Thank you very much. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。ダニエルさんでした。ありがとうございます。あ、What is this?
Oh, thank you.
What is this? You should open it.
Should I open it?
Yeah.
I gave one